All right, we are back. I think we have been found. People will come over and find us here. When you start a YouTube platform, if the audio is not functioning, it's not going to function. So this is what happens. And the moderation is really important. So this is why we're on YouTube. All right. So I see start people starting to find us. Okay, good. All right. So I'm just gonna give it a minute because people have to hop over from the other one to this one to get the actual notification. All right. So give it a minute and people will join and they'll find us. All right. So here's what we're talking about tonight. We're talking about, hey Charlotte, how you doing? We just going slow because we know people have to find us. All right. We're talking about a story about Joe Gilliam, who is, uh, in my opinion, a legend in the NFL. And his story gets overshadowed a lot. And there's a lot that's happening. And the reason we're talking about it is because we're I would say, in the midst of profiling Black quarterbacks in NFL and discussing their experiences. And we're not just discussing it to highlight it, we're discussing it and looking at the similarities to Shedeur Sanders' path following the collusion and defamation and public humiliation that he experienced. And we're also looking at this because as late, or as I guess you could say, as recent as 2022, the NFL was exposed for poorly, or I could say badly discriminated against Black quarterbacks in the NFL draft. So Joe Gilliam is a Black quarterback. Shedeur Sanders is a Black quarterback. So first, here's what we have to do. We have to set context. Okay, I haven't started yet. There's a lot of people that don't know why we're talking about Joe Gilliam. There's people that are joining us that don't understand. We're looking at Joe Gilliam's story and experience in the NFL as a Black quarterback, along with some of the others that we already talked about: Tyrod Taylor, Michael Vick, Vince Young, Dante Culpepper, Warren Moon, and Doug Williams. So now Joe Gilliam is the third starting quarterback in the NFL. And he's 1972, drafted out of Tennessee at number 11, right? So let's set up the context. It's 1972 in the United States. Black Panthers. Martin Luther King has been assassinated. It's just racial tensions are high. Affirmative action probably was new. So there were a lot of people who did not like the fact that Joe Gilliam ended up with a starting job. He won it. He won it outright. There were people around in the NFL that looked at this man play and is like, he's the best one, even though I think he went in the 11th round. And he was on the team with another NFL legend that people hold in high regard, who was a commentator after his career, Terry Bradshaw. Now, the problem is with this story, and it took me a minute to get it together because I felt like I wanted to cry. I really did, even before I went live. And it's because his opportunity was snatched from him, right? And just like I said, a lot of these guys have been through it. The racial discrimination, the public humiliation. Joe Gilliam had the weight of the world on his shoulders as the first Black quarterback for Pittsburgh. And you know what he said? I watched the documentary. He said, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. So he had societal pressure, meaning this 1972 America, and you getting ready to start as the first Black quarterback on an NFL team. And not everybody's happy about that. What franchise do y'all know that we have discussed numerous times that still has never had a Black QB1? The New York Giants. This was 1972. And what I'm starting to realize is history is beginning to repeat itself through Shedeur Sanders in the NFL draft. Them not wanting him to start, trying to hold him back, no matter how good he is. Part of the title is the Joe Gilliam story, when you're the best quarterback, but you're benched. That's what happened to him. This man was benched and he had a winning record. Why? Because Terry Bradshaw went to his coach and said he wanted to get traded because he wanted to start. But Joe Gilliam was the best. Joe Gilliam won. What does that sound like? Shedeur Sanders is QB1 in Cleveland. He's already won it outright. But what do you see them doing? Making locker mates out of Joe Flacco and Jerry Jeudy because they're saying this is what we want. That's exactly what happened to Joe Gilliam. But see, the difference between Shedeur Sanders and Joe Gilliam is the times that we live in. That's it. It's just the times that we live in. Shedeur would not be the first black quarterback for Cleveland, but Joe Gilliam was the first black quarterback in 1972 on the heels of an assassination of somebody we celebrate every year, Martin Luther King. And to be honest, it drove him to try to cope. And he used vices that were very popular back then, but were deadly. And he said they beat him up so bad physically, they tried to hurt him. How many times did we see Shedeur get sacked and they were allowed to tee off on him and he broke his back? We just talked about how players get sacked excessively. So Joe Gilliam got hit excessively and the pain was a lot. But it wasn't just the pain that he had on the field. It was also the pain of being benched when you know you're the best. And he wasn't the only one upset about it. There were popular players, Franco Harris, that was his time. There were other linemen. They were like, we are sick of this SHI. Shh. Just like we said earlier today, we so sick of this. History, NFL history is repeating itself. Shedeur Sanders, when the best get benched. Shedeur Sanders, when the best get pushed down to 144 and devalued. How does he go and win out the starting job, but he not drafted to round 11? I didn't even know there was a round 11, but apparently there was. Joe Gilliam's story is sad because he didn't ask for the weight of the world to be on him. He just wanted to play football. He was the best. He got the starting job. And because Terry Bradshaw want to leave, he gets benched with a winning record. You do all that you could do, and you get pushed aside. And in addition to that, being beat up on the field, getting benched, but you're the best with a winning record, you won the job outright. But because this man want to go somewhere else, I got to lose my job because he don't want to wait. He don't want to accept the fact that I beat him. Does he not want to accept the fact that a black man beat him out of the job? Or does he not want to sit down and wait behind anybody? Look what happened when Deshaun Watson asked for a trade. But Terry Bradshaw ended up with the starting job. And he couldn't handle the pressure. It was too much. He slipped into a depression. I would too. I'm out here balling for my life. And suddenly I'm the first black person and y'all trying to kill me out here on the field because you don't want me out here. And the fans are writing him letters, death threats, and y'all know how they like to get down. They told him they was going to cut off an anatomy, an appendage that is crucial to life. Told him this man, they're going to kill his whole family. Now, I admit, Shedeur might not be getting death threats, but the best is being benched. Just like Joe Gilliam, a story they don't want to talk about. And I think it's perfect timing for us to talk about this. This man slipped into a depression because he worked so hard. He won the job. Yes, the societal pressures were a lot. But just like Shedeur, he's already proven himself. And what is the Mary Catherine lady saying? He needs to come out here and prove himself as the first. This could negatively affect him too. But thankfully, he has Coach Prime. Joe Gilliam's life, after he got cut 2 years afterwards, just went from bad to worse. He lived on the street panhandling for years in Nashville. He went back to his beloved Nashville. They say they have a camp in his name at Tennessee State, Joe Gilliam football camp. He died in 2000. Because once you start with those vices trying to cope with the pain, whether it's mental and it's physical and it's, you're dealing with race or something you can't solve yourself. It's a lot, and you don't always come back from it. And that's why we say you don't just let people crash out. But they know what they're doing. They hoping you fold under the pressure or you quit. If not, they just gonna bury you on the death chart or trade you here, there, and over here, and over there, and over here, and over there. But ultimately, it's ruining your career. Yeah, it was a lot for him to cope with. There are people who are speaking out and saying this was wrong what they did to him. Yeah, it was. And Terry Bradshaw likes to tell the story. I saw him do drugs. I bet you did. I bet you did. You probably saw a lot of people do drugs. It was 1972, 1974. Let's be real. I think that's right about the time that Richard Pryor said he was handcuffed to a radiator for a couple of days and interacting with people that looked just like him of the same sex, and he didn't even know about it. That's 1970s. Like, for real. That's that era. So, I mean, instead of trying to help the man, he said he gave me my job back. He didn't give him anything. He knew when he complained to Chunk No, it was to push him out the way because it was 1972 America. And although people knew he was the best, there were too many people who did exactly what they did to Shedeur Sanders, and they pushed Joe Gilliam out the way. And it was too much for him to bear. The physical pain. Imagine you getting beat up on the field, and then they move you out the way for somebody else who's not even as good as you. And when Terry Bradshaw took the helm, he wasn't even good. They had to go to the third string, and they refused to give the other guy a chance again. They absolutely refused to give him another chance. Who that sound like? Tyrod Taylor. They punctured his lung, and then they refused to give him another starting job, which makes him believe they punctured his lung to move him out the way. So they go through great lengths to move you out the way. So we talking 1972 to 2025. And they went through great lengths to move Shedeur Sanders out the way. This is about quarterbacks. That's why I keep telling y'all, this is about quarterbacks. This is about quarterbacks and the things that they have to endure. I believe Vince Young went through what he went through because he was trying to endure the same madness. People trying to break you down. Joe Gilliam being benched, it might have kept him from being killed on the field. I think they said, was it Tyrod Taylor or somebody ended up with broken ribs? So all of these excessive sacks that we see for Justin Fields, Caleb Williams, Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, maybe Cam Ward, maybe Shedeur don't need to start. And we said that. We said if they keep him in Cleveland, maybe it's just best to go ahead on and let him stay. Because it's not going to be nice. Because culture comes from the top, and we know what the minions at the bottom tend to do. I saw an article today that said, I saw an article today that said, Will Levis still being in Tennessee is dysfunctional. So they trying to make Cam Ward, the number one pick in the draft with a fully guaranteed $40-some-odd million contract, earn his job from the person that couldn't get it done before, which is exactly what's happening to Anthony Richardson in Indianapolis with Daniel Jones, who proved that he wasn't good. So why is it the white quarterbacks get the opportunity to prove themselves over and over and over? And when a black player loses a job, they don't even get it back, even if their lung get punctured, because the goal was to move you out the way anyway. And while there were people in Joe Gilliam's orbit who knew he was the best and set him up to be the best, they were outweighed, just like abolitionists, basically, who they outweighed by people who were just like the people sending him death threats. Terry Bradshaw knew exactly what he was doing when he asked for a trade. Why would you ask for a trade if he better than you? Where you going? Is somebody better than you over there too? And then when you get the helm, you don't even produce. So you moved him out the way for nothing, and now the third string got the job. So they just let the season go up in smoke, which is what Cleveland is willing to do. Understand that they've been getting down like this. Joe Gilliam's story is heartbreaking because it was too much for him to bear, and he tried to cope with the physical pain, the societal pressure, the racism, and the discrimination and the hate that he dealt with. All because he wanted to play football. So when you choose to be a quarterback in the NFL, you taking on a lot more than helmets and shoulder pads. You taking on a lot more than the challenge of learning supposedly complex plays. We're going to go with detail. Maybe not complex, but detail. You taking on a lot more than learning the offense. That's for your white counterparts. You got to take on the racism. You got to take on being controlled into submission. I saw Cam Newton's show. I was watching it because he had on the NASCAR jacket. And I was laughing and I said on my podcast today, there's a lot of people looking NASCAR way. And here we go. I wasn't kidding. It's just refreshing because we don't know nothing yet. But at the same time, history's repeating itself in the NFL. Cam Ward ain't safe. Somebody on this podcast, either Jerry or James, Kiel, somebody said it. As long as Will Levis is still on that roster, he's not safe. So you see all of that, the optics. That's why I say that wasn't nothing but optics drafting him first. Why he have to compete? Will Levis already proved he wasn't bad. Why he's still on the roster? Why is Cam Ward competing with somebody that already failed? Who shouldn't even be on the roster and should have been sent packing? Because he blocking another QB from that spot. Understand that. Daniel Jones too. Understand that. They so busy stacking black QBs on the same roster behind each other and putting white QBs behind black ones because they want to just find a way to move Anthony Richardson out the way so they can give it back to Daniel Jones and not think about how the fans going to feel if it just ends up just like it did in New York, because they don't care what the fans think. And the fans need to revolt. People are saying Tennessee has a chance to be good. But now they setting up dysfunction, which makes people say Tennessee is just as disorganized as the Browns, which is why nobody wanted to go to them bottom feeder teams. Nobody. And this is why. If you white, might work for you. Because they get mediocre talent. When they drafted Will Levis in the second round, they knew he wasn't a starter. But they moved Malik Willis out the way for him. Malik Willis is our Caden Salter's mentor. That's why I'm happy to see Caden Salter out there working out with select QB. Because he's going to need to be 13 times better. Sad but true. If he want to come this way. So Bradshaw broke out the dog whistle. Right. And the crazy part is Bradshaw knew the climate was death threats to this man. He knew that they threatened to cut off his appendage. They vandalized his car. They actually vandalized his car. This man, he couldn't deal with that. Everybody can't deal with that. That's why Bichon went through what he went through in Tennessee. Because he was the best and they try to break him down. But little does he seem to know, or maybe he knew, he figured it out. They did the same thing to his pops. Imagine you being good and they want to destroy you and you confused. But then in Joe Gilliam's time, luckily this not happening with Shedeur, and maybe that's why they're surprised. You see why they're surprised. And they were talking about how the black community in Pittsburgh, was standing up for Joe Gilliam. It's just like Shedeur, where people standing up for Shedeur. And it's not just black people, but people in general standing up for Shedeur. Yes, a lot of black people. This is the same thing, except for Shedeur got Twitch. He doesn't smoke. He doesn't drink. He doesn't have any vices. He hasn't been beat up yet to the point he needs something for the pain. He hasn't had his car vandalized yet. I told y'all today, he need to keep his head on the swivel. While we don't see and hear about hate mail like Kevin Samlin got at Texas A&M not that long ago, that Joe Gilliam got, we do see Mary Catherine acting like a piranha, trying to destroy incessantly. She represents what Joe Gilliam went through. Understand that. She represents what Joe Gilliam went through. You know why? Because the media did the same thing to him. The media kept putting out these narratives. They tried to pick him apart. That the media was just like society at the time. The media was a representation of society, not the people who thought he was good, the people that didn't want to see him succeed because he was black. The same media that helped to tear down Shedeur Sanders, that's helping to do what right now? Trying to get us all hyped about what they're going to do. We like this. We'll see when we see it. We're not listening to you. It broke my heart when I first learned about this story because I knew he couldn't deal with it. And Bradshaw knew exactly that he was feeding into the hate for the people in society that didn't want to see a black man at the helm. And then the New York Giants have never had a black starting quarterback, and they're going to try to convince us that they were interested in Shedeur Sanders. No. So that means they still got 1974, 1972 mentality over there. So they could have kept their mouth shut. We didn't believe you was going to ever draft him. You made it this far without doing it. You was the last team in the league to actually have a black quarterback, regardless of QB 1, 2, 3, or 4. So why would we think you would just get Shedeur had QB 1 and Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston? Hell no. And that's exactly what's wrong with the league. Too many of them are stuck in the past. And while nobody seems to overtly be trying to harm Shedeur Sanders, he better keep his head on the swivel. Because they still out there. They are still out there. And if you have somebody like Mary Catherine out here trying to risk her job to be hateful, to lie, to make it seem like, what did she say? Oh, he got to earn it. He already earned it. He earned it at CU. You could be amazed by it, but you want to act like you don't want to see it. And that's what they did to Joe Gilliam. There were people who didn't want to see him succeed. So they took him out. They applied so much pressure. And somebody actually did a podcast. And they said, do y'all think maybe the pressure coming from social media might be too much for Shedeur? I'm like, it ain't the pressure from social media. It's the pressure from the media, and it's the pressure from Cleveland, and the pressure from the NFL. Don't want to silence the people on social media who are standing up and calling it out and being accountable. And I'm going to tell you something right now. There are people out here with something to gain. They're not going to say nothing. Just like people in the league not going to say nothing. And that's why this goes on and on and on. And even though the fan base has changed, that the same fan base that was a majority in 1972 is not the majority right now. That's why he's not getting death threats. Because that aspect of it has changed. The interest is browner. The interest looks a lot like the people that play. A lot of people, they put their kids in soccer. People who, grandkids and great-grandkids from that era, they play soccer now. So it's changed. We are fans because of who's playing. We are not fans of the franchises at all. In fact, I think Cleveland is outdated and stodgy. The Giants and the Titans and the Saints, they just need to all just be blown by the wayside. Because you might as well just envision that plantation burning, because that's the mentality that they had. People don't send you death threats because they bored. They trying to end you. They're trying to get rid of you. And they succeeded, just like the NFL succeeded at holding quarterbacks in the 2025 draft to 16 instead of 17 with Shedeur Sanders. So there's a lot of similarities here with history repeating itself with Joe Gilliam and Shedeur Sanders. If Shedeur get the starting job, who's going to go ahead and ask to be traded? He's not going to get the starting job. They probably just going to bury him on the depth chart. They didn't cut Gilliam right away. They waited 2 years. Tyrod Taylor's still in the league. It's 2011. Geno Smith, Shedeur's comp, still in the league. So it was refreshing to hear from Joe Gilliam's own words that I didn't know what I was getting myself into with all. I was the first. He did. That's not what he signed up for. That's not what he signed up for. And it shouldn't have been what he had to deal with, but that's 1972. That's why I tell y'all, some of these people, RG3, Cam Newton, Terrell Pryor, even Russell Wilson, and people before, Michael Vick, came in the league at a time when it was still a lot of that mentality. We're seeing it come back. We're seeing it come back. Just like in society, what are you seeing to come back? Whites only signs. So the NFL is no different. History is repeating itself in the NFL. NFL history is repeating itself. So I hate that his life succumbed to the hatred. I do. It was a lot. Imagine somebody threatening your family, your wife, your kids, your dog, saying they're going to cut this off. You go outside to the practice facility, they done damaged your car. I mean, they done vandalized your car. We don't know what kind of person he was. He might have been an inside shelter person that only went outside to play football. People in 2025 can't deal with that. And he couldn't even deal with it. And now that we're studying these quarterbacks and we have people in front of Michael Vick and we have people after Michael Vick that we've talked about, I don't see how Michael Vick escaped it. I'm not convinced he did. And I said that was the goal. We're going to look at people before Michael Vick and people after Michael Vick to figure out what actually happened to Michael Vick. And we know with that new documentary coming out about Brett Favre, he said the system is rigged. And he's right. And rigged is the proper word because it starts before you even put your cleats on for the first time. They already know what they're going to do with you to keep you out of that QB1 spot, to keep you from becoming the face of the league, or you can only do it for so long, to keep you from taking over their brand. Cam Ward ain't safe. The moment I saw, it's just total dysfunction. And Will Levis, he don't even look good. They said it. He looked like he gave up. So why is Tennessee pushing that issue? Because if Will Levis move, who am I put in that spot? Is he black? I told y'all when we talked about the Heisman that some people are placeholders to block others off the stage. They already said it. Shedeur was better than Dylan Gabriel in high school. In college. That meant that he was robbed of the Heisman, and he was. And here you go, getting robbed again. And they try to publicly humiliate him. Why do you think they try to publicly humiliate him? So they could break him. So even if he makes it to QB1, he wouldn't be able to withstand it. And these guys got to look at me. They're going to try to break you. And Russell Wilson said, you're not going to break me. So he knows too. And he before Shedeur. I hope he and Shedeur phone and they talk. Because he has the right mindset to withstand the pressure. Luckily, the societal pressure isn't what it was with Joe Gilliam. Nobody is vandalizing Russell Wilson's car. Nobody's threatening his family. But the best do get benched. So that's the Joe Gilliam story. All right, let me see what y'all saying. Hey, how you doing, Charlotte? Thank you for finding us over here. Hey, Kiel, welcome back. Welcome back. Freeman, welcome back. Glad y'all find us. All right, thought I was late. Nope, you're not late at all. We had to hop over here because of the audio over there. Hey, what she said in chat, thank you for the lives. Okay, Angela, welcome back. Thank you so much. Thank you. And Tina, Cash App me. Thank you for the support, Tina. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. If y'all want my Cash App, just let me know. I'll send it to you. Because I don't just put it out there like that. But she's like, I really want to support you. And I knew somebody was asking me in the comments. So I want to say thank you to Tina. We were on Twitch playing spades. So make sure y'all get the Twitch app. We were on Twitch playing spades before this. That we watched a little bit of the UCF game with Colorado. And we watched Well Off Media. We watched the guys' first day of spring conditioning. They look good. Body by Swayze. That's the new phrase for the guys because, they be whipped into shape for the most part, figuratively. So thank you, Angela. Thank you for the kind words. It said, no, Chuck, no. Yeah, that's his name, right? Did him dirty. Yep. Because they're saying that Terry Bradshaw asked for a trade, and he admits he did. He went to Chuck Noll and asked for a trade. And then Chuck Noll is the one who made the decision to bench him. And he was the best. And he had a winning record. That ain't no different than Shedeur in the draft. Tell me, y'all be honest. Is that any different from Shedeur in the draft? You're the best, but they put other people in front of you because they don't want you. So if you could see why they did it with Gilliam, please understand that's why they did it to Shedeur. And that's why the two guys they put in front of he and Jalen Milroe were white. Understand that. It's the same thing. So what is this doing is pointing out that they just going back to their old ways. And they probably never left them. But Shedeur's case was the most extreme. And honestly, it's a lot like Gilliam, except for the societal pressures are different. Meaning he don't have to worry about nobody vandalizing his car. I hope, because that would be something. But I don't think it's like that. I think they feel comfortable that Flacco's gonna start. And honestly, I don't think that they will be upset if Shedeur started. I don't think they care enough to stand up for Shedeur and say, he the best quarterback. Why is he not starting? When you're the best QB, but you're benched. That's the story of a lot of black quarterbacks. So yes, Chuck Noll did him dirty. But Terry Bradshaw was the catalyst. Let's be clear about that. Chuck Noll would have never benched Joe Gilliam if Terry Bradshaw didn't go to him, well, I want to leave. Knowing he's white and how white people were treating black people and treating Joe Gilliam at that time. That's 1972. That's technically the 60s. Thanks. I am a TSU fan. Okay. Tennessee State University, Nashville. Yep. And that's where he went to school. And yeah, I heard that for a long time, like 25 years, they said there was a camp, a football camp in his name at Tennessee State. So if anybody know anything about that, let me know. J Fick, I'm in Title 567. What is Title 7? You got to tell us now, because you put that in the chat before. Same playbook, new players. There you go, Political Lil. There you go. I'm going to go ahead and pin that. Same playbook, new players. So understand this. Every quarterback, black quarterback in the NFL needs to learn the history of all black quarterbacks. And if you don't want to study everybody, you need to definitely get the ones before Vic and after Vic and before you and Shedeur. You got to do it. You got to owe it to yourself because you have to strategize. You have to move accordingly. You can't buy into, I'm going to get out here, work hard, and be the best. You can. You certainly can. But you can look at Joe Gilliam and Shedeur Sanders on opposite ends of 1970s to 2025 and see that that does not matter. So you can knock yourself out if you want to, but it's not going to help you. There is nothing you could do. But play the game that you love, like you playing outside on Sunday. Keep yourself in shape with all your might, and don't even worry about getting to the Super Bowl. Because the moment they know you want something, whether you want to be one of the highest draft picks, like a top 5, or if you want to get drafted before your daddy, they're going to snatch it from you. The moment they know you want to get to the Super Bowl, like Lamar Jackson, they're going to snatch that from you too when you see he don't have one. And the longer he go without one, he's not going to get one because they're not letting him get one. And he needs to realize that too. So when I saw him all bubbly going back on the field because it's that time of year, please do it because you just want to play. And whatever comes, comes. Don't have no expectations because they're going to snatch it from you. Greetings. How you doing? Wild Dog, how you doing? Yep, same playbook. Same playbook. Hey, Jerry, how you doing? Welcome back. Miss Pamela, welcome back. He was only sober the last 5 years of his life. Hate how the NFL internally broke our brothers back in the day. Right. And that's what they trying to do to Shedeur. But he not letting it get it to him. And see, that all of that in the pre-draft, anybody remember that Tiger Woods interview where he was being interviewed by that guy and he said he knew he could win. And that guy said, oh, you're being cocky, aren't you? And Tiger looked shook. He was young, but he looked shook. He ain't been the same since. They got him. And that's the goal. That's why Russell Wilson is like, you're not going to break me down. He know exactly what they're trying to do. But these young guys coming in, I don't think they know. Shedeur might, because his dad went before him, and best believe he knows whether he let on to us that he knows. So yeah, I was like, oh Lord. I'm like, these stories get worse and worse. But this one was heartbreaking because they broke him. They broke him. They tried to break him and they succeeded. They tried to break Shedeur, but he didn't succeed. And it tells you the difference in the times that we living in, because he don't have nobody threatening him with letters and saying these things and damaging his car. He get to walk freely, right? He get to walk freely around and no fan is out to get him. But the problem is Mary Catherine. That's your problem right there. So while we don't see it as visibly as Joe Gilliam's time, people like Mary Catherine are a reminder that when they don't like you, they try to harass you, get in your face, agitate you, this, that, and the other, so they can have something negative to say about you. And he should be protected from that. When he see her, duck off in the bathroom or something. Wild Dog, PVAMU University. Okay, that's my alma mater. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Miss Sunny, welcome, Miss Sunny. Hey, Gracie, it said the political times are nearly the same. By 72, they were dismantling the civil rights gains. 1964, yeah, I believe that. That's why I said history, NFL history is repeating itself. And a lot of it does have to do with everything that's happening with DEI rollback and everything. And I told y'all the moment they took in racism out the end zone, it was on. It became more overt. And to me, that's why they were so bold with Shedeur. But they did not expect 47 to show up and say, hey, what y'all doing? Not him. Right. They didn't expect that. Did the same thing to Hank Aaron. Right. And they said Joe Gilliam was supposed to be the Babe Ruth of the Pittsburgh Steelers, because not the NFL. He wasn't the first starting quarterback. It was two before him. But they said he was supposed to be like a Babe Ruth type figure to integrate. All the people that did that was not easy. The kids, the Birmingham 5, Little Rock 5, all of that was not easy to have to deal with these adults. And there's one owner that's pictured in one of those photos. So they tell y'all they still have that mentality. Because if you in the picture doing segregation and you own an NFL team, it's not far-fetched to believe that you have the same mentality you had back then, which is why winning doesn't matter to you. Mental anguish. They need to pay his family reparations, right? And they say that's why the NFL don't even want to talk about the story. I saw a picture of him that I wanted to get. I'm going to see if I can get it and use it for the thumbnail. This was after he was benched. He was just sitting down on the ground, curled up, just with his helmet off, because the best has been benched. What do you do when the best has been benched? You can answer that question with Shedeur Sanders. I told y'all we are in the curve, getting ready to, we making this left. It's a lot getting ready to happen, but look at what we're learning in the process. We getting ready to see, are they getting ready to do the same thing and bench the best? Meaning people are like, oh, they're not going to trade him to Miami. They're not going to trade him to Jacksonville. Even though Jacksonville needs a good quarterback, it's not about need. It's about keeping quarterbacks who have failed holding spots and keeping other people out them. That's what it's about. That's what we are watching unfold. We are watching them do the same thing they did in the Joe Gilliam era to Shedeur Sanders. The best is being benched because I don't want you to be the starter. I told y'all that's what this was about. That's exactly what this is about. I hope y'all see it. I hope y'all now see it through Joe Gilliam's story. The best has been benched. Shedeur Sanders. Collusion. So yes, mental anguish, and they should pay his family, but they don't even want to talk about the story. And it's so funny how there was some 25-year anniversary of that Super Bowl or something from 1974, and they invited him back. And he said, the same people that booed me and hated me welcomed me with open arms. I'm like, yeah, after they tore your life apart and you strung out in the streets of Nashville. And that just made me so upset. They all happy to see him, but they hated him. Didn't want him to start, didn't want him to play. They would have liked him as long as he wasn't leading the team. So it's not about football. And when was the last time was it about football? Just sad, bro. Just sad because, you know, I just want to watch good football and this ain't it. It's just not it. Bradshaw was what, Salafi? Really? Probably because of what he did to Gilliam. That is guilt. That's what that is. Guilt. That is guilt. Hey Tina, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for the support. I thank you for the Cash App. I appreciate you. Makes you see Terry in a whole different light. Right. And they celebrate him. Didn't they have him on that desk? Right. See how they celebrate him, but they don't want to talk about Gilliam? They love covering up their dirt, bro. If they will lunch you in public, you know what they'll scheme up privately. If they what? Yeah, agreed, political Lil. Had it not been for Lynn Swan and John Stallworth, the legacy would have been trash. Oh, probably so, because they don't even talk about it. And you know how they describe him? Oh, he was just a backup. That's a lie. He was not a backup. He's a starter. He won the job. And y'all try to tear him apart because Terry Bradshaw want to leave. You should have let him leave. Because then when he started, he didn't do nothing. And then you had to play the third string and you never put Joe Gilliam back in, which means this was about Joe Gilliam being a black quarterback leading the team at a time when Warren Moon came out of school after Joe Gilliam was drafted. And they said a black man was intellectually inferior in order it could not be quarterback. That was after Joe Gilliam's time. So you know why they didn't give him another opportunity, even though he proved to be the best, just like Shedeur. So I think the media trying to distract you when you all hear them repeating the same phrase, like they were all on some Zoom call saying, okay, the talking point for this week is Shedeur should start, knowing it ain't going to happen. And if so, for how long? Like Joe Gilliam. Joe Gilliam won all the preseason games. It was 6 of them at the time. He won all 6 preseason games. And when he played the regular season, he won. It was a shutout with the Indianapolis Colts. 30-0 or something like that. And the only reason he benched because Terry Bradshaw want to leave. Now, that's just a slap in the face. But that's the same thing that happened to Terrell Pryor. Terrell Pryor was the one that wanted to leave because guess what they did to him? They put an undrafted free agent in front of him. Now, you know Shedeur was drafted in the 5th round, and they laughing on the NFL Network talking about ha. Travis had since 12, but Shedeur was drafted in the 5th round, and when you're a 5th round draft selection, you don't get to choose your number. But they put an undrafted free agent in front of Terrell Pryor, who balled out at Ohio State. They just get these guys and just ruin them. Make their lives hell. They just hoarding talent. They're just hoarding talent. That's all it is. Why on earth is Cam Ward competing with Will Levis when he already failed? Will Levis has already failed, which is why he looked lifeless out there, because he knows that don't make no sense. And everybody can't put up with that. Maybe that's why Josh Rosen came and went in 4 years like, I'm out. This too much. Let me get my $40 million and say goodbye. That's what these guys need to do. That's what they need to do. When they realize they're not going to let me win, come on in, get that 4-year contract, get your $50 million and keep it pushing. But no, see, they want to get the $250 million. But what are you willing to do to get it? Stephon Diggs back at practice. You know he ain't no quarterback. But see, he don't realize it. They just talking about him like he's stupid in the background. Oh, he can't help himself. His lower cognitive functioning. You know how they are. Yeah, but he willing to be that because he don't care about nobody else. He don't even care about his own integrity, his own reputation, his community, or nothing else. They have a culture of individualism if you're Black. They publicly show they take care of each other. Look at the doctor that punctured Tyrod Taylor's lung. He still got a job. Will Levis still got a job. Daniel Jones still got a job. But Justin Fields got to hurry up and get the hell on. Individualism for the Black players who they deem are inferior. And community and compassion for the white players. Oh, Joe Flacco ain't played a regular season since 2017. Come on, I'm going to just keep paying you. But Shedeur gets robbed in broad daylight. And they talking about Joe Flacco got to be Shedeur babysitter. Shedeur don't need no babysitter. The best will be benched. Joe Gilliam, Shedeur Sanders. It's the same thing. His name was Terry Hanley. He was pretty good for the Steelers back then. But once the Steelers start drafting about 6 people that are in the Hall of Fame, really 7 people. What's that, Kiel? Who you talking about? Terry Haley? What's that about? It said, Marlon, how you doing, Marlon? It says, also salute to Franco Harris. Yep. Rocky Billitzer, and Mean Joe Green. Yep. Because the guys that spoke out, they were like, we sick of this. You know why? Because they've been seeing it. There were black quarterbacks back in like 1953. I can't imagine. I cannot imagine. We're going to talk about them too. We're going to be talking about quarterbacks for a minute. The season might come and go, and we just might get to the last one. But when that's my takeaway from the Joe Gilliam story in comparison to Shedeur Sanders. When the best is benched. The best quarterback, when QB1 is benched with a winning record. So there's nothing that they would not do. That means they was willing to sacrifice the season, and they did. And they did. Killer part, Shedeur Sanders recruited heavily out of HBCUs. Yep. Black QBs must be all pro from the start or they will be benched. Right. Yep. And Shedeur pro ready, and he's still benched. He's still benched. You still got somebody tied to the organization saying, well, he's a fourth-string QB. We all know Shedeur Sanders is not fourth-string talent. We all know Shedeur Sanders is not a developmental QB. We all know Shedeur Sanders is not a fifth-round QB. And how the hell is Dak Prescott a developmental QB after 9 leagues and racking up $250+ million? Why they coddling him? Did they do something to him? He got something on them like Deshaun Watson? I'm convinced, because that makes absolutely no sense. None. But you see, they don't want to put nobody right behind that. They went and got Joe Milton. And they coddling Dak. I have no idea what that's about. There's something going on. Something's going on. So Bradshaw broke out the dog whistle. Absolutely. That's what happened. NASCAR Wendell Scott. Is that the one that had the noose in his locker? Salafi? We were talking about that earlier. It happened to somebody. I don't know. Was it? It wasn't a Bubba guy. I don't think. Was it? It was somebody. I don't know who it was. It said fact and more facts. Yup. Grease lightning. What's that, Kiel? It said impeding the progress. Right. They trying to hold back the progress. Thank you, Salafi. Cam Ward seemed sad to me when he was drafted. Yeah, I don't know. Richard Pryor and Pam Grier, very good movie. Oh, okay. Okay. Grease lightning. Okay. I'm gonna have to watch that. Okay. Culturally, they feel that they're superior. Facts to us. It's sad, but it's a hard reality, right? And when you go into the league, you need to be armed with all of these facts. Somebody need to tell you, okay, look, keep your NIL. Don't leave your NIL. Just know that if you're a quarterback, you could be the best, but they might bench you. So you need to go in here understanding that you're not about to change nothing because they don't want you to. You could be the best and win for them, and they'd rather lose. You need to study the history of all your quarterbacks from Joe Gilliam until I go find somebody before him. It was Doug Williams, but now Joe Gilliam to Shedeur Sanders. You might want to study that. I know about Joe Gilliam Jr. I'm a Steelers fan. Rooney was a groundbreaking owner. It took time to get his objective accepted. NFL is still so slow and behind. Thank you for covering. You're welcome. And a lot of people have a lot to say about this. When you go on Instagram and you put his name in, a lot of people are telling stories. People really want the truth about what happened to him to get out. I'm like, well, just look at what happened to Shedeur, and it's the same thing, except for their lives have not gone the same, trajectory. Shedeur's still in the league. And you never know. He might know the history. He might be friends with Russell Wilson, who told him, don't let them break you. Come on in here and don't have no expectations. And Russell was like, yep, I'm going to be the starter. I don't know whether he believed that or not. I really don't. I really don't. But that's what he's going to say. And he seems unfazed. But he's like, you're not going to break me. And they have not. And they keep trying, but it nothing works. The Casper syndrome. I don't know what that is, but tell me, Salafi. Said both. Salute. It said both Young and Gilliam had security at each game. Young. Are you talking about Vince Young and Joe Gilliam? I know Joe Gilliam said they had to have 6 or 7 guns around him each time. That's how bad it was. That's how bad it was. And when he said, I didn't know what I was getting myself into, I think it's a lot of NFL players that could say that. It wasn't just the societal civil rights era. It wasn't just that. It was the call was coming from within the house. You think Shedeur expected the prank to come from the NFL? The phone number to be given out and made possible by the NFL? No. And the fact that he had just got that phone and only gave it to them and only used it for the draft, they were supposed to get exposed. It's time. And we're supposed to be talking about Joe Gilliam. We're supposed to be talking about Doug Williams. Because people talk about Doug Williams, but they don't talk about Joe Gilliam. That's who jersey I need to find. I'm sure it's out here somewhere. And when they invited him back with open arms after they ruined his life, I'm like, that's crazy. But he was happy. He was happy. So he got married again, married a school teacher, but they broke him. That's what it is. Just like Tiger Woods. Him too. I think he dating Trump. He dating the girlfriend or the ex-wife of Donald Trump Jr., which is Trump's son. So see, that's how entwined in that world he is. He been that way and just Hall of Fame full of players from HBCUs like Walter Payton and Jerry Rice. Yep. Joe Gilliam was better and he knew it. Bradshaw knew it too. Bradshaw still saying slick and crap. Yeah, he is. He is. I saw it myself. I'm like, and if he got an issue, that's why he got an issue, because of guilt. You earned a new sub. Thank you, Wild Dog. All right, y'all. Y'all welcome Wild Dog. He's a new sub. Be hanging out with us. Make sure you get Twitch. We've been playing spades over there. Y'all get Twitch so we can play spades. At least I'm playing and people watching me play and telling me what to do until we can all figure out how to play multiplayer. Doug Williams received excessive hate mail. Oh, I bet he did. I don't know what year Kevin Sumlin was at Texas A&M. But the same type of hate that Joe Gilliam got in the 1970s is what Kevin Sumlin, who was the head coach at Texas A&M, got. Yep. And understand that. After him, I just recall, what's the head coach that was down in Arizona before Coach Prime came to Colorado? He's back at the desk. Y'all know his name. I can't think his name, but he was the head coach at Arizona State, and they set him up. See, that's the kind of stuff they had been doing to black quarterbacks. See, Coach Prime, they try to get him fired. But see, if the coach who was at Arizona State, the black guy at Arizona State, the head coach, had he had the prime effect, he would still have his job. His assistants took his plays and gave them to all the opponents so he could lose and get fired. Yep. And that's what they try to do to Coach Prime, but it didn't work. So what you see happening to Shedeur, trying to say he not the best, destroy him, mental anguish, all of that. They tried that with Coach Prime by hurting his son. Understand? That's what that was. When he saw Shedeur getting sacked like that in year one, that had to be hard 52 times. And he broke his back. At some point, I'm like, I think you might need to take your son out the game. That was the goal. They did not want Shedeur on that Heisman stage at all. They didn't even want him to be a Heisman candidate. So what Shedeur is going through in the NFL, he went through in the draft. You think he wasn't publicly humiliated, being sacked 52 times? And the media got mad if he dare hold anybody accountable, because they was all in on it. So that's why sometimes I'm like, don't even worry about Shedeur playing. Just going out there and just do whatever you do. Don't even worry about it. Because Joe Gilliam said it. He said, yeah, they did a number on me. One way or the other, they gonna get you. Mortuary Mary is the culprit today. Yes, Salafi. Absolutely. Doug Williams was my hero. First black quarterback to win a Super Bowl. Yep, Wado. It said the blessing and the adversity is that we have examples and shoulders that we stand on. Yep, J-Fic, we do. And that's the kind of thing that, because Russell Wilson, somebody tried to say he broke barriers. And he was like, oh, no, this got to go back to Doug Williams. And I'm like, who said that? I mean, yeah, he did, but at the same time, he reminded them that, hey, Doug Williams come. But Joe Gilliam, that's who really need to get it. That's who we need to keep the name in front and center. Joe Gilliam. That's whose name, because what they did to him was just as criminal as what they did to Shedeur. And it's the same thing when the best QB, or when QB one, proven QB one, the best QB gets benched. And that man had a winning record. And the media want us to think they're going to start Shedeur. For how long? Are they going to try to hurt him too? Like they did Gilliam? Thank you, Charlotte. Thank you so much. Yeah, this story resonates in my heart. I feel like I know this man, but I don't know him. But I know that they broke him, and they do too. And it's crazy to me how they invite him back after it's all said and done and act like did nothing happen. Yay, we happy to see you again. Why? Because he didn't die in the streets. Well, why don't you come on back? Because it's writing on our conscience. You don't have no conscience. It said, can't believe my Steelers took Will Howard, Ohio State, after Coach Tomlin gave his assessment of Shedeur. He was going to get Shedeur, but they threatened his job. I'm pretty sure I have a screenshot to prove it because I screenshot everything. Herm Edwards. Yes, that's his name. So they tried to Herm Edwards Coach Prime. Yeah. You know what saved Coach Prime? The Prime effect. All that money that he made from the moment he got there. CU had made like $90 million. So Coach Prime was never supposed to make it to one of the highest paid college coaches. He was never supposed to make it to the top, the top 5 influential college coaches. He's actually number 4. Sarkisian is number 5. So he's the top 4. I guess they had to throw Sarkisian in there because, that's UT. And Colorado and Coach Prime should not be in front of UT. So, yeah, I could see the NFL in cahoots with the people in college trying to hurt Coach Prime's program because they had to stop. It just went from inside the whole O-line to the right side. A coach that, in my opinion, was just not good. And to the referees, to the NFL. Because they already said, leave whatever you learn in college, they're over there. So why you care about what happened in college? You don't. You just need a scapegoat, and it's the perfect story. So I'm going to work in cahoots with some of these people in college to maybe try to tear down Coach Prime program a little bit. It did not work. And, man, they look good. When I tell y'all they look good out there today, working out, Juju looked like he is a year older already. Caleb, the muscles he got, man. Omarion, good to go. All these guys done bulked up. I got to learn them all over again. I'm like, wait a minute. Which one is Gibson? Because remember, he was smaller. I'm like, I think he done bulked up too. So they going to be good. I just hope they don't get cheated again, because it tells you, that they going to still try to take this program down. Because think about it. Since Coach Prime has been in, what is it, FBS? Is that what it's called? FBS? We got, I didn't know, but Willie Taggart ended up in the Baltimore Ravens. Then we have Willie Simmons, who left FAMU. He's now at Florida International. Then there was a coach who was at Marshall, I think, and they won some Sun Belt champion. And when he left, all his players hopped in the portal and went with him to a school of all places, Mississippi. One of those Mississippis. One of those places and schools in Mississippi, like the University of Mississippi, Mississippi State, Eastern Mississippi, the one in Harrisburg, one of them. I don't know, one of them. And I actually went to cheerleading camp at the one at Harrisburg. So luckily I don't remember much, but it was just hot. It was just hot. But yeah, Mississippi. So Joe Gilliam, that's gonna be my new, I don't know, flag to fly. Joe Gilliam. Because normally what I do when I see people saying stuff like, I think somebody had posted the best, like top 10 dual threat quarterbacks, and they didn't have Dante Culpepper on there. I was like, why you don't have Dante? Where's Dante Culpepper? Stuff like that. So Joe Gilliam. I might change my profile to Joe Gilliam. You never know, because they did that man wrong. They did him so wrong, and they just did him wrong. And that's how. And it's just wrong to do that to people. But it's the same thing that they did to Shedeur, right? But Joe Gilliam, they didn't even pretend. They knew he was the best. At least they try to lie and say Shedeur not the best, even though we know he is. So they didn't care. They knew he had a winning record. But you black. Okay, no. Remember what I told y'all in 1934? The NFL banned black NFL players from the league itself, which should be like a family, because white people, just random white people didn't have jobs. How would it look? Now that's the craziest thing I ever heard of, but that's what they did. Collusion. They called it a gentleman's agreement. That was the first time I know them to collude on record, other than to ban black players from being NFL quarterbacks. Period. Joe Gilliam. If I could get me a jersey, I think I'm gonna get me one. Something about his story resonates with me in my heart, and I feel like I should keep it alive as long as I can, because they did it wrong. And now they're trying to do the same thing to Shedeur. That when the best gets benched, that's what they're doing to Shedeur. They just lied and say he wasn't the best, and he proved that he is, and they still trying to harass him. And we're not going to let them break him. Luckily, he comes from a good, strong family. But Joe Gilliam came from a good family too. Yep. We're going to keep the prayers going and turn back the evil. Yep, we are Blue Moon. Them boys know how to jump in the portal and go set themselves to play for Coach Prime. They sure do, because we got I'm like, how many O-line people we have now? Because we got a lot. I think we just got 2 more. I'm like, okay, is the depth chart to 5 now? So, I just hope it goes well. I just hope it goes well, because, it just, Jackson State was such simpler times. It just was. And it was fun. And they was just playing football. There was no agenda. Yeah, there was that one coach with the issue, but that was him. That was one person. It wasn't a systematic thing. It wasn't everywhere. It wasn't pervasive. And it was fun. And who is swag, I'm swag, or whatever, turned into a mantra. And everybody had fun and loved it. And people came from all over to go to the games, just like they do Colorado. But Colorado experience is coming with a lot of racism. It's a lot. It's a lot. And I really thought when Shedeur got to the NFL, I was like, ooh, I'm excited to see him play behind an O-line, because I didn't expect the racism like that. This is ridiculous. I'm like, here we go. And now that we're studying all of the black quarterbacks, I'm like, it just ain't Shedeur. It's just the way of life in the NFL. If you're a black quarterback, it don't matter. You could be 13 times better than. They're going to somehow deny you the opportunity that you have earned and proven that you deserve, because you're a black quarterback. And that's not who they prefer. But you probably like, well, why you draft me? To keep you from going to Canada and fans going with you, to keep you from starting your own league, to keep you and others from putting y'all's millions together and starting your own league. It's called hoarding talent. You should collaborate with Harry B at the sport clubs. Harry, oh, okay. I think I follow him. I follow everybody, I guess. I follow everybody. But thank you. That's nice. Okay. I thought it was interesting. There was someone on Shiloh's live asking him what type of woman he liked. I saw the setup, but he answered perfectly. Somebody was in Shiloh's comments telling him to be careful moving through Tampa. So I don't know. It looked like the 70 guys was at practice today. The what? What you say? You talking about who are you talking about? What you say when you say it looked like the 70 guys were at practice today? Are you talking about Colorado? It said I-bands are the show. I-bands are the show, Jerry. I don't know what you mean. It says, this is why we need a black league. These people are not going to change. No, they're not. They're not. Tina, I totally agree. But you know what? The money is to sedate them. And that's what they, and honestly, they really just want to play. But I'm like, all you got to do is look at Lamar Jackson's story to see they ain't going to let you in. I said it. They'll let you in, but they ain't going to let you in. And they still trying to tear him down to a pocket passer. As if somehow a pocket pass is better than the dual threat. It's not. It's that the dual threats came through the door with Michael Vick. And I don't believe he escaped any of this at all. There's no way. CU has 4 O-line coaches with so much experience and communicators. Good, good. Because I need that. I need the trenches to work. I need the trenches to work from the left to the right with no gaps in the middle. I need that to happen. I need that to happen. It said mantra, if I ain't swag, who is swag baby? Right. Such simpler times. What you said? Oh, Buffalo. Oh, you talking about the Buffs? Okay, yeah, they did good with their first day. I think the new phrase is "body by Swayze." I like that. You should do a book on the disparate treatment and discrimination of the black quarterbacks and its exposure to me. I think I might do that. I just might. That might actually be the way I go. I know, people are suing or whatever, and that's also an option. Especially it depends on what happened with Shedeur. Because believe me, if you watch that 4-hour video from draft night, yeah, I was mental distress for sure. Because that was hilarious now, but it was not funny then. It was not funny then. Bernie Kosar says, thank you for that political lift. Bernie Kosar says, it is best that Flacco starts and Shedeur finishes the season. That's probably going to happen. Anybody paid attention and knew how it went with Cleveland when Flacco was there in 23? I know he hadn't played a whole season since 2017. So what exactly happened? Did he play 8 games? Did he get hurt? Or did they put somebody else in? That's my next conversation. So Flacco hasn't played a full season in 17 years. So what is Cleveland expecting? Let's look at the 23 season to see what that looks like. Is what Prime imparted. Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you, Salafi. So Bernie Kosar says it's best that Flacco start and Shedeur finish the season. Why? Because Shedeur is pro ready. But I told y'all the reason these young guys were getting sacked excessively because they're trying to punish these guys. They don't want them to start. So yeah, okay, we'll go with it. We'll go with it. I don't like it, but when I think about Joe Gilliam, okay. I am swag. Yes, Wild Dog. I am swag. I need to get one of them t-shirts. What do they still have them? Bradshaw would never man up. No, he is so wrong. He is the catalyst. And somebody probably told him to go ask for somebody probably told him to do it. It would not surprise me. It was so much collusion happening with this whole situation, outside, inside, the times that they lived in. Like this man said, I didn't sign up for all this. I didn't know about me being the first. He just wanted to play football like they all do. That's what they all want to do. And they get hit with a rude awakening, which makes me pray that Russell Wilson is some kind of leader on a group chat with black quarterbacks and he keeping them all up so they can learn to have his mentality, because that's what you have to have. Oddly enough, people try to drag Russell Wilson down, but he definitely got the right mentality to survive the NFL. And as you can see, they think they're going to bury him. And he said, yep, I'm going to start. I'm like, okay, Russ. Maybe he will. Maybe he will. That was a phenomenal throw by Shedeur and an incredible play by Omarion Miller. I believe. Amen. Yep. I mean, our guys are pro ready. And now you see the conditioning with Swayze. Man, I'm telling y'all, this team going to look a little different. And I said it, the vibe even looks different. It's like they more professional now. And I'm not saying they weren't then, but they kind of are now. It's like they took a step up. And they're all fit and trim. And Swayze was basically him and the other guy. I don't know the other guy's name. He kind of looks military. He was telling them how they were being graded, and what I like that I heard them say today was they're grading to see who's bringing the energy down. Don't be an energy vampire. That's the term. Tina and I were watching that on Twitch. Charlotte might have been on there still, or she might have got off. But that's what they were saying. They graded people to see who's infecting the energy on the team. That's smart. Because how many times has the O-line been infected? Twice. They only been there 2 years. So I like that. Don't be an energy vampire. We're looking to see who's being negative, who draining the energy, who trying to take the energy away from the team. That's very important. That is very, very important. Very, very important. In fact, anytime you get a new job, they always tell you, stay away from the person who gossips, complains, who trying to zap all the energy out the office, and that's usually the first person that generally approaches you, because they always looking for somebody to infect, and then they expect it to spread. So I was happy to hear that. Coach Prime ain't playing. They looking for the energy vampires, and don't be one. That was amazing. That was amazing. All right, y'all, we get ready to wrap up. So let's see if we can wrap up our conversations, and we'll be back tomorrow at 12:30. Couple of things we could be talking about tomorrow. That's why I don't like to put a title till right before. So make sure y'all notifications on. Wild Dog, you new. Make sure your notifications on. Understand, guys, I put the all the links to all of the platforms we're on. We kind of starting to get some not gonna say clout, but some looks on X, and people are responding to the comments. So if you on X, catch us over there. TikTok, Threads, and IG, we're out there. But I feel like we're more active on Twitch and YouTube and X. Yeah, that's what I feel like. But we have a presence on the others. So definitely check us out. Stay connected with us offline. Go to Twitch, get the app. Maybe you come over and either watch me play spades, teach me how to play spades better, or whatever. Or you could just sit there and vibe with us. We listen to music. We watch highlights of CU, and then we just check on where CU is, the latest with Well Off Media and stuff like that too. So make sure y'all get the Twitch app. It's free, and we can commune over there when we're not live over here. All right, y'all, let's see. It said, did you see how Shedeur, how shredded Jordan Seaton is? Yes. Yes, I did. It said, thanks, good show. Watch Caleb Mathis video. Okay, I will. Thank you for that, Charlotte. Thank you for that. I will definitely watch Caleb Mathis video. He looked great too. He did. He looks great. He looks great. So we definitely gonna do that. Val C, I did notice Jordan is shaping up. Yeah, they all look good. They look professional. That's what I mean by they look fit, they look trim, they look like they gonna give Georgia Tech a run for their money. Yeah, for sure. I know people think we gonna lose that game, but to be honest with you, I think we might have that game. And Juju looks good. Caden, they run it, the weights and everything that they doing. Juju made it look easy. He made it look easy. Caden looked like he got it down. And that's our QBs, you know. So if they showing out like that, the rest of the guys gonna match their energy, because that's what it was about Shedeur on the field. When he stayed plugged in, the rest of the guys stayed plugged in, even when we were behind, and they would come back to win. So, you know. Thank you so much, everybody. All right, y'all. Good night, good night, good night. Thanks for watching What She Said Sports. Check us out tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for lunch and stream. All right, y'all. I'm going to say good night. Thank you. This was awesome. Joe Gilliam. Oh, y'all didn't tell me who y'all want next. Does anybody want to just put in the comments before you log off who we want to look at? Oh, I know what we're doing next. I already have, we're going to do Cordell Stewart next, and we're going to look at the Buffs in the NFL and their journeys. And that came from Charlotte. So thank y'all so much for the suggestion. I'll see y'all later. Bye-bye.